Welcome to An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Every single week we get together and speak about volunteerism, philanthropy, and community, and this week is no different. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Patty Murphy from the Youth Services Bureau Foundation. Hello, Patty. How are you?
I'm well, Sam. How are you?
I'm so good. I love talking about the YSB. You are everywhere. There's not an event I don't see you at. You're all over this city. What's your important role with the foundation?
I get to be the very proud executive director of the foundation. We're a team of 4 that fundraise solely for YSB services.
Incredible. For those that may not be familiar with the YSB, which we affectionately call YSB, but the Youth Services Bureau, tell us what you do.
So we have been operating in the community, supporting youth and families for 65 years. So a real milestone this year, and the services have evolved based on the needs in the community. We work in 4 areas, so shelters and housing, mental health, employment, and youth justice. And sometimes, very occasionally, a young person will come through one of those programs, but also need support in other areas. So it's a lovely umbrella that we are under and able to serve youth in multiple ways.
It's really remarkable, and recently you had a very important breakfast. Tell us all about that.
So we just hosted our 3rd Rise and Thrive fundraising breakfast at the beautiful horticulture building at Lansdowne. It was a sellout with 400 people getting up nice and early. The coffee was on. We were waiting for them. And this year the theme was youth mental health and celebrating youth that access our services, that get support for their families while they're accessing services, and really celebrating a young person, Dex, and how they've moved forward, heading into college in January and wanting to come back and work with YSB, which is just such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think, when we think about youth, they may make up a certain percentage of our, of our population right now, but they are the 100% of our future.
They are.
And so to think about all of the things that they would need to ensure that they have that thriving opportunity to create their own sort of path in the community, but not everyone, unfortunately, is given all of those opportunities to thrive. Is that where you step in?
That's where we step in, exactly. And we like to say we walk alongside a young person. We're not in front of them, we are alongside of them. They tell us what they need, and if they're not sure what they need, then we can guide that conversation. And I think, as you said just at the top of that comment, is that we want young people to do what we're doing. You're involved in the community, you're volunteering, we're part of that philanthropic sector. We want to raise our families here. We want young people to do the same thing and to be business owners and to be employees. Perhaps they'll work here at the station. I mean, that's the thing, is to really help them move forward one step at a time, very gradually, not to overwhelm, but to really walk alongside them as they create that journey and sort of unveil their dreams or rediscover their dreams that may have been, sort of covered up for a while.
Mm-hmm. And, you talked about all the 4 pillars, if you will, of your work, and I can't help but think about Mayor Mark Sutcliffe recently talking about ending youth homelessness by 2030, and I saw you out at the run, where they're cheering everybody on in terms of ending youth homelessness. This must have been really good news from your perspective.
It's good news and it's doable. I think that if we sometimes put, a mark in the ground and we say we can do this, we want to make sure that it's doable, that it's realistic, and it totally is in Ottawa. We own 2 youth shelters and 4 long-term housing buildings. We want to make sure that the work we're doing is moving those young people along on their path, and so a big piece of our work that was introduced earlier this year is shelter diversion. We studied a program in the Niagara region that was so successful that really looked at how do we welcome people into our shelters. Do they have other options with family, with an auntie, with a grandparent that is viable and safe for them, and that person is willing to take them on for a short time at least. And it's seeing great success. It's only been running for a few months, but those are things that we want to make sure we're being innovative in our work and doing the right things and learning from other partners, either in our own city or far beyond.
And I'll tell you, Patty, you and I have known each other a long time. I used to work at a shelter, and nothing would break my heart more. I mean, it broke my heart to see anybody at the shelter, but nothing would break my heart more than to see a young person walk in that shelter, because and you alluded to it, once you get into the system, it's actually hard to get out of the system, and we want to change that.
We want to change it because you're right. 2 nights in, 3 nights in, there's already a sense of community that's happening, which is beautiful. But that young person deserves, maybe they're missing some high school credits, maybe they have struggled with mental health, or they're coming from a family dynamic where there was perhaps some undiagnosed mental health or addiction or some challenges there. We want them to get the support that they need so that they can move forward. We have a classroom on site at our youth drop-in. They can gain those high school credits and graduate. They can get access to mental health support. They can move forward and at their pace that's comfortable for them.
And you mentioned, of course, the breakfast focused on mental health this year, which is obviously, mental health is health, and I think more we talk about it, the better. What was the feeling in the room when this was the main sort of topic this year?
Yeah, it seems to be, I think we're at a place where, 10 years ago it was still a little bit of an awkward conversation, but how beautiful is it now that we can say to each other, I had a really tough day yesterday and I wasn't fully myself. Today I'm walking a little bit better. I had a good night's sleep. I think that's the conversation that has opened up, and it's not just talking about it, we're taking action. And we're doing that as adults. We're showing our kids that it's okay to not always be okay. And I think that was the feeling in the breakfast this year was learning from a young person who had accessed our services and now really feels strong, still is, perhaps struggling with anxiety, but has the tools in hand to work with that throughout their lifetime and now is moving forward and going back to school. We also heard from a gentleman who very sadly lost his son a number of years ago to an accidental overdose, but he turned that grief. He said, I had to walk every day to safeguard my own mental wellness, which on some days was very shaky, and he felt that sort of dark cloud around him. But he used walking as a way to really help himself, and has developed that into a fundraiser every year for YSB. So really beautiful, really beautiful.
I know that gentleman.
Yes, you do.
Spectacular. He is spectacular. And I think, I look back on when I was a teenager, and Patty, I didn't ever hear the term mental health. So I'm so grateful. I have a daughter who's 17, and she will come home and she'll be like, Mom, I need to lie down. I've had a really tough day. I'm just gonna take a bit of time to myself. Yeah. She's got these tools. She talks about all of the different ways that her friends talk about mental health. And you are like light years ahead of where my generation was. And so I think that's a really important conversation as well, that youth are also supporting youth, but then you've got obviously YSB there to step in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of young people like Dex, who spoke at our breakfast, become ambassadors, become the ones that normalize those conversations amongst their peers. And honestly, as an adult, I've learned from my daughters to normalize that conversation, right? Like you said, I didn't learn about that. We didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about it in your family. Even if you thought someone might be struggling, you would ask a question and someone would sort of say, everything's fine. But isn't it beautiful that these conversations have opened up and we're honest about it? It is part of our health, right? Our physical health, our mental health, all of that is health.
It is, absolutely. And I think about YSB, I think, it's been, like you said, around for over 65 years. I think you've also evolved to meet the needs of the community. I think about the work, obviously helping people find work as well, young people finding work. And we hear, the numbers on the radio about youth unemployment, but to have that boost of YSB must make all the difference.
It does. And employment for YSB is an interesting program because our services even extend into adulthood. So for, let's say, a new Canadian coming to Ottawa, learning how to do a CV, preparing for interviews, looking at what their skills are and where they might apply for work, and helping them find those opportunities, whether it's a work placement to start and then it becomes a job for them, really important. Again, it's walking alongside someone, whether it's a young person or an adult, in that particular employment program. program. It's all about moving forward, and sometimes it's small steps, sometimes it might be a role that maybe isn't quite a good fit, and then we get to reevaluate, and we get to work with, hundreds of employment partners, and that's really essential. Partnerships are everything for the work that we do in the community.
Oh, partnerships are the key, for sure. What's one thing about the YSB that maybe would surprise somebody? Maybe it's a program, maybe it's the numbers that you're dealing with on a daily basis. What would surprise someone watching or listening today?
I think for your viewers and your listeners, knowing that we support upwards of about 3,000 youth and family members a month is sort of hard. It's kind of hard to wrap, even for myself when I first started at YSB, I thought, that's an awfully large number. What does that look like? But I think what's surprising too is how easy it is to access our services. So we talked about mental health. We don't want there to be a barrier to get access, and to get access now, really, really important. And I think that, for a lot of our staff, when they join, they go on a tour of our services, and they really get to meet the staff, they get to feel that compassion, and they get to see how deep the work is and how broad it is. So I think those are things that I think that some folks will know a little bit about one area of our work, but not necessarily the other pillars.
And I've, in private conversations between you and I know the difference that it makes in the work that you do and in the work of the entire team at Youth Services Bureau, and that is the community support. You simply wouldn't be here, Patty.
It's everything, and we have wonderful funders from the provincial government and the city and United Way, and then corporate partners that really believe in our work and that have employees that believe in our work. And so we get to kind of, rally together, whether it's through a volunteer event that we kind of customize for a corporate group, whether it's working with other young people that want to support young people that they may never meet, but that the cause feels so close to them and feels very personal. So the community is everything, and it includes other partners like, CHIO and the Royal and PLEO and all of those groups. Like, there's such a tight connection that we simply could not do our work without those partners.
And, I'm a mom, as you know, and I know you're a mom. How do you sort of take the mom Patty and I was going to say separate, but I think maybe actually incorporate that mom side into your work, because sometimes it's hard not to take all those kids home in our hearts and our heads.
Yeah, and I think meeting other young people, it just reminds you of, you hope that you did the right thing for I have 2 daughters, and they're in their 20s now and in professional jobs, but my youngest daughter accessed YSB services. I might have to pause for a second, but learning about anxiety that she struggles with still probably for a lifetime, she has those tools thanks to YSB, and I always tell her, I love everything about you, including the fact that you happen to have anxiety. It's just part of who she is. So it helped us as parents to, sometimes I think parents think that we're always the teachers, but my goodness, if you open your eyes and your heart and your ears, your young people are also teaching us ourselves. So I think that that's a plus to bring that to work every day as well.
Beautifully said. My dear friend Patty, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Sam.
I appreciate it. We've chatted with Patty. We're going to chat with so many other champions of Youth Services Bureau. I know you're going to stay with us here on An Hour to Give.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
What I love most about Sam is that it isn't about recognition or the spotlight. She does it all because she cares. She believes deeply in community, in generosity, and in the power of kindness. Thank you, Sam, for showing us that giving back isn't just what you do, it's who you are.
For anybody, honestly, that will listen, whether they tune into An Hour to Give on Country 101.1 or Rogers TV Ottawa, and they ask me to speak about philanthropy, I want to spread this message as far and wide as I can. Philanthropy is not just about financial donations. The trifecta of philanthropy is time, talent, and treasure.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
And we're back on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Today is all about the Youth Services Bureau. And Tanya Gracie is joining us now, one of the other champions that are loving all the work that's being done at YSB. How are you, Tanya?
I'm well, thank you.
It's so lovely to be here with you. And you have a very important volunteer role in the community. Tell us what you do.
I have the great pleasure of serving as the chair of the board of YSB. So I've been on the board now for 5 years, and the last, just started my third year as the board chair.
And when I take you back 5 years, and I know you can do the math as well. That was 2020.
It sure was.
The world was a little topsy-turvy, if you will.
Yes.
What sort of inspired you to become part of the board?
Well, I mean, the timing was more coincidental than anything, but I had met some other folks who had also served on the board of YSB, and so they could really reiterate just how meaningful and important the organization was. And yes, you were right that in the midst of 2020, in the midst of COVID, we were all very much thinking about how best to support our community, and so when the opportunity came up to be considered to serve on the board for YSB, I thought that this was a great time where I could lend my passion for both the community and the work that YSB does, and also, the governance that was going to help support the organization through this unusual time.
Definitely, and we think about youth during that time in particular, and I mean, we could talk for hours about the impact that the pandemic has had on our young people. We are still seeing the fallout of that. Absolutely. Is that another thing that really spurs you on, Tanya, in terms of the work that you're doing?
Absolutely, it sure does, and I think particularly in application to YSB, given Patty spoke about the 4 areas that YSB works in, and so being community services and housing, employment, youth justice, mental health. I think what we really saw through the pandemic, and it has only continued to be on display, is just how integrated all of those areas are. And so it's very unlikely that a young person coming through the door to YSB may come in through the door through mental health as an example, but there's going to be other aspects and facets of their life that YSB's services or programs may touch on as well. And so the team at YSB does an incredible job to help steward and coach young people through and make them aware of the different services and programs that are available to them, whether they know about them or not, when they first make that initial outreach to YSB.
Well, and I think it's naive to think that those can be in silos, right? They're not silos.
They're not silos.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how important it is that they are integrated and what you see from your perspective as chair.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're absolutely integrated, and like I said, I think we've only continued to see just how, even in our own lives, age in some cases doesn't matter in these cases, but, that all of these aspects of our lives, we are multidimensional people, and so the things that impact us, for sure, are the same way. And so the team really does a great job to make sure that a young person doesn't have to navigate those systems and programs on their own. And so in the background, funding structures may be set up certain ways, regulations may be set up certain ways. That can all be invisible, as it should be, to the young person and their families who really, first and foremost, need to be able to have that opportunity to make the decisions that are best for their future and where they're at the time being.
And the role of a chair is so important.
It is.
Tell me a little bit about your board and a little bit about the people around the table.
Yeah, so we have the incredible, a board is really a team endeavor, and so I just have the opportunity as the board chair to be a bit of a facilitator in those discussions. So our board is made up of incredible community leaders from all facets of the community, and each brings a different expertise and perspective, and all anchored on really an unwavering support for YSB and the work that we do. So we both get to be cheerleaders and champions of YSB, and at the same time, partners and collaborators with CEO first and foremost, as well as the senior team, to be able to steward the organization, both to meet the need today and also to ensure that our ambitions, our foundations are strong for the future.
Do you allow yourself to go back 65 years and think about how YSB was set up and really think about the history then, but also think, I've got a pretty big role, and what does it mean for 10 or 15 years from now?
Yeah, and it's always that challenge when it comes to governance about, honoring that past and those foundations, those roots that we have and where we've come from, and then also aspiring and continually thinking about where we're going. And so I certainly, wasn't around when, 65 years ago when YSB started, but I have great admiration and respect for those founders, for the people who saw a need in the community and invested the time and effort to bring this organization to life, and for all of the subsequent, leaders, board members, and staff members who have continued to steward this organization, have continued to make sure that they show up in a really meaningful way and ensure that 65 years on, YSB still has an incredibly important mandate and an incredibly important ability to show up for people as that evolution has happened. And so the way that young people engage with YSB has changed over the years.
For sure. The
spaces that they are in and the voice that they bring, the way that we partner with young people and have that relationship with them, all of those things have evolved, and it's important that the organization be able to do that, and at the same time continue, and I think this is an important role for the board to play, is to continue to be able to help raise our heads up and look at what's coming and enable the organization to plan through systems, through practices, to ensure that we can continue to move forward and continue to serve that need, however it starts to look as we go forward.
And through pandemics.
Through pandemics or whatever else may, may come our way.
Yeah.
So whether it's a change in how services are delivered in the community, again, it's really most important that young people have access to the services. The how and the formalities behind it, that can all be sorted out by in some cases the board, and a lot of times in partnership with the staff.
And when I think about, we spoke earlier about how important it is that the community backs the work of YSB, but there's a particular sort of sliver of the community that's so crucial, and that's the business community. Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about integrating and partnering with people that are owning businesses and leaders in the community.
Yeah, and I think the one really unique thing about YSB is that so many of the people who interact with YSB as business leaders are also interacting with YSB as parents or as caregivers or some sort of, extended family and support in the life of a young person. And so the number of times I have spoken with somebody, a peer in the community, a fellow, business professional who has said, my family has benefited immensely, or somebody that I know has benefited immensely from YSB, is, I think, a really unique position for YSB to be in. So it's less of a sell and more of this is an opportunity for you to align the values of your business with YSB and ensure that those opportunities are there for young people. So it's really a very interesting way, and we see it come about in the relationship with the donors that we have. YSB, we were just at the Rise and Thrive breakfast a couple of weeks ago, and again, the number of people that I spoke to who said, this is so uplifting and my organization believes in this, I believe in this too, so I think it's really easy for employees to get behind that support with their organization. We've seen lots of workplaces do really interesting and fun campaigns to support YSB, and also a lot of corporate teams who will come, and do volunteer engagements with YSB. So there's lots of different ways that people can engage, and it really, I think it really illustrates how integrated, again, we live, work, and play all in the same space in our community.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I'm just chilly thinking about it, but the coldest night is coming up in February.
February will be here before we know it.
For sure. And so that is also a night where the community really comes out for you.
It is, absolutely. And again, I think, there's so many different ways that the community can engage with YSB and where their partnerships align and where their values and interests align. And so, coldest night of the year is another one of those great examples where the community has, and increasingly so every year, it feels like the group that we're walking with is bigger and bigger in recognition of, there are young people that, if we can provide that roof over their head, and it's going to make all the difference. So we're happy to have everybody join us.
We only have about a minute left, but what keeps you up at night as the chair of YSB?
Good question. I think the thing that would keep me, that does keep me up the most at night is ensuring that, that we're meeting the diversity of needs out there. And so, because a lot of the services that YSB provides, if I think about mental health, if I think about employment, it can take somebody a long time. They can be on a, sort of a very invisible journey to the outside world for a very long time. And so, my hope is always that, people will engage with YSB, whether they think it's a small thing or a big thing, and that we're really in this together. Our community is better off when we are all, serving and enabling the lives of young people in a way that, they can set their course for the future. And so it's a tool in their toolbox, and young people become older people, and so the same tools that we need as younger people, we will continue to work back and rely upon as we grow older. And so it's really a very lovely cycle of how to engage with this community, I think.
Beautifully said. I can see why you're the chair.
Oh, thank you so much. It's very kind of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, your time today and the beautiful sentiments. Tanya Gracie joining us, of course, today, representing YSB. We're going to learn more about Youth Services Bureau here on An Hour to Give. Come on back.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV, Channel 22. I'm Ramon DeFranco. Are you a fan of the Disney movie Coco? I know I am. It's based on the Mexican holiday Day of the Dead. From October 31st to November 2nd, the Byward Market will host Ottawa's lively Day of the Dead festival. It's a colorful tribute to loved ones who have passed. Explore traditional crafts and cultural displays while enjoying the flavors of authentic Mexican food. Discover the rich history of Dia de los Muertos with live music, dancing, and more. This joyful celebration blends remembrance and community spirit, making it an experience for all ages. Visit dayofthedeadfestival.ca for details. To have your community news or events listed on our website, please go to rogerstv.com, click on events, and post your event. That's it.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
Well, I am so happy that times have changed. This conversation we're about to have probably wouldn't have happened 20, 25 years ago, even maybe a decade ago, in regards to mental health. And I'd like to welcome John McKnight. He is, of course, representing Youth Services Bureau today on An Hour to Give. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm well, Sam. Yourself?
Good, good. Tell us what your important role is, because it's a big one at YSB.
So, Sam, I'm one of the coordinators with our mental health services. So at YSB, we have a pretty broad array of services for mental health for community, youth and families. And I get to oversee the coordinating service of our crisis line, our 24/7 crisis line.
Wow. Yeah. And so give me a sense of, first of all, the need in the community, because I can only imagine, I mean, I've got a daughter who's 17. Every single mom, dad I talk to, this is an issue in their home. They've got children, and the spectrum of challenges in regards to mental health is wide. So where do you step in?
Of course, and we see, Sam, the need every day. So for us as a 24/7 crisis line, each and every day we have youth, we have parents, we have caregivers, people from schools reaching out and letting us know that they need support and letting us know that they're having challenges in their life. And so that need really for us is every day, and we see it by receiving hundreds of calls a month.
It's incredible. And tell me about your team.
Yeah, so we have a full-time team of crisis workers that are just like incredibly skilled, where they're just ready, available, literally as we talk right now, at that phone, waiting for a chat to come in, waiting for a call to come in, to really just understand where the young person and the family is at, how we can be helpful, and then look for ways forward with the family and the youth.
And when I think about, John, I think about all the, sort of the breadth of topics. I mean, everything from challenges within friend groups to, to much more serious sort of issues, abuse at home. Mm-hmm. We think about drugs, we think about the fentanyl crisis, we think about all of the challenges. So I'm assuming your team is dealing with all of that and so much more.
It's all of it. I mean, what I've come to know working in the field up to this point is mental health and addictions, it doesn't discriminate. Right, it affects people of all walks of life with problems of all shapes and sizes, including the ones that you've named. Mm-hmm. And for us, the important piece is having opportunities and options available to youth and families right at that moment when they have a need, and that speaks to the importance of having a 24/7 crisis line in our community.
And I don't know about you, but I think to myself all the time, I wouldn't go back to be a teenager for all the tea in China. Honestly, it was a challenging time enough, and now you add social media, and you add the readiness and the availability of certain drugs and all of that, and just the challenges that youth face today are so much more. So it's hard to be a youth, but it shouldn't be hard to get help.
Yeah, it's hard to be a youth, and you shouldn't need to do it alone. And all those difficulties you described, those challenges exist for parents too. Yeah, and Sam, you're exactly right. It shouldn't be hard to get help, and so the community's done a great job over the years of using their voice to share how challenging it can be to navigate systems, to face wait lists while they're dealing with mental health struggles. And so from us on our end, the important piece is doing our part to ensure that services are accessible at that moment in time when a young person or parent decides they need to reach out. That could mean the 24/7 crisis line, and that might be what a young person or family needs. It could be that they need some ongoing services, and so for us, making that accessible too. What we mean by accessibility for ongoing mental health services is we've gotten our services to a point where at any week throughout the year, multiple days a week, we have a walk-in clinic that's open, that's available, where a young person on their own and or parents, even if the young person is deciding not to engage, or as a family, they can come and they can see us, they can meet a clinician, they can share where things are at, they can talk about where they'd like things to go. We could think together about what would it take to get you from where things are at to where you want to go, and we can decide with them if ongoing services can be helpful. If so, a young person or family can leave that day with a time, a date that they can meet with the counselor. So the accessibility point for us is just super important. We've heard loud and clear that over the years that's been a really real struggle for the community.
When I hear you talk about that, I just see barriers being broken.
Yes.
Like visually, I just see it, and I just see this beautiful path forward. And I've got some good news for you. Do you want to hear it?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So I belong to probably about 10 moms groups.
Okay.
And no word of a lie, John, every single week in one of these moms groups, somebody says, okay, we finally need help. Yeah. We've been dealing with this on our own in the four walls of this house. We cannot do it alone. When I see people recommending where to go, often, very often, YSB and the service you just described is shared. You know, another mom will say, listen, this saved the day for us. So it is out there in the community, but today is all about informing even more people about this. So tell me a little bit how, give me an example. If somebody is wanting this service, walk me through step by step. What are they doing?
I think the first thing to think about, Sam, is it's never too soon.
Oh, I love that.
It's never too soon to ask for help. I had mentioned earlier, mental health doesn't discriminate. There's no reason to feel that you aren't deserving of help. Right, and for us, when we think about it's never too soon, is that first step could be giving us a call, reaching out through a chat, or coming to our walk-in clinic and just letting us know with as much information as you feel comfortable at that time. You can share a little bit of the story, you can share as much as you feel comfortable with, and we'll work with you where you're at.
Why did you get into this work, John?
For me, I think I continuously saw the need in the community. A much younger version of myself had always worked with youth. Ottawa is very blessed to have so many different services that support youth and families. I've worked for a number of them. What became quite obvious to me is that when people need help, it had been really, really hard. And a number of years ago, I'd seen YSB promoting that they were hiring for a mental health walk-in clinic. And to me, that just stood out as something that was so important for our community to have. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I've felt really privileged ever since to be able to meet families at that moment when they need help.
And when a family walks in for the first time, or maybe a young person on their own, and I've never done this work, so I'm asking you.
Sure.
What does that feeling in the room like? Is there relief that they're there? Is there some nervousness there? Is it a combination of all that? Are they, and then what's the difference when they walk out for the first time?
Yeah, so one of my favorite experiences is not that I would ever want to see somebody experience nerves and worry, which can be a real thing when you're in the waiting room, waiting to speak to a counselor, is then also getting to see that client and that family family leaving with that sense of relief, right? It's such a great opportunity when you finally decide for yourself that you're going to ask for help, and it's there and it's available. You know, and there's a number of things, just recognizing that it can be really hard to sit and wait, even just in a waiting room. So when we think about a choice appointment, for example, which is that first meeting at a walk-in clinic, providing that family with a questionnaire to help them think through what they want to talk about. So really trying to help support with that experience they might be having while waiting.
Because I think when, you know, I'll just speak about myself. I think when I was pregnant with my daughter, we think about, oh, you know, am I going to be able to breastfeed, and am I going to be able to, you know, to do all these things? Is she going to walk okay? Is she going to talk okay? And we are never sort of thinking about 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and into those years, we're sort of, okay, the here and now. But when we think about what's going to happen in 15 years from now, and how big kids, big problems is always what I've been told. We don't let our minds kind of take us there as parents. But when those stages come, we cannot do it alone. There is no book about what to expect when you're expecting a 15-year-old, right?
Yeah, and you know, there's so many books that don't describe exactly how to do it, because there isn't a way to describe exactly how to do it. Is every family is its own family, every individual is its own individual. At different points in time, people need help and support to be able to find a way through those hard times in life. Right?
So if somebody is listening, watching right now, and they want so desperately to have help for their family, what would you say to them, John?
Yeah, I think just speaking to what I had shared earlier, that it's never too soon, right? Is reach out for that help, connect with somebody. It could be somebody in your own life. We're here as a service, right? But just reaching out to friends, families, neighbors, whatever you are comfortable with. And if you feel like you need a service, is reaching out to access something that's right there and available on a 24/7 basis or even weekly basis. Yeah.
And I think too, you know, what you're kind of, I think you're inferring there as well, is a crisis may be a crisis for your family and maybe a different crisis for another family. So the definition of that, it's okay to step up and say, you know, we're having a problem with friend group, but maybe the family next door is dealing with a drug issue. It doesn't mean the friend group issue is not important.
I love that. Yeah, the way I try to encourage people to think about it is some people call in because the problem has gotten so big that it's just not manageable anymore, and that's perfectly fine. We're ready and able to help. And other people, it might be that the problem for them might feel smaller, but they don't want it to get bigger, and that's a great opportunity to reach out for help too. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. YSB is doing great work, and your team must get up every morning and feel like the work is so rewarding.
They do. I see the energy in the morning when I go into the office. I see the energy, and when the evening staff comes in and they get to hear about the different calls that came in the day, the work that needs to be done that night. And you know, the other part I think that really energizes my team is something that I probably took a little bit for granted before I came into the role. So I've had a number of different roles in mental health with YSB, but one of the things that I may have taken for granted is our crisis team is local. Right. That local aspect of the crisis team, where our team gets to come in, and when they're picking up the phone and clients are calling in, is the person that the clients are speaking to is somebody in our community.
I love that. I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that, and John, thanks so much for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And you heard it from John McKnight. They are available 24/7. Youth Services Bureau is there for you and your family. When we come back, my good buddy Carlos is going to be here. Stay with us on An Hour to Give.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV Channel 22. I'm Justin Laporte. Attention all pet owners. The Ottawa Pet Expo is coming to the EY Centre on November 1st and 2nd, offering a weekend full of furry, scaly, and feathery fun. Visitors can enjoy live grooming demos, a bird zone, and plant and aquatic exhibits, and a pet-centric marketplace featuring over 200 vendors. Workshops, meet-the-trainer sessions, and interactive activities round out the schedule. The expo runs Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and pets are welcomed. Visit petexpo.ca or scan the QR code on the screen for full details. To have your community news or events listed on our website, please go to rogerstv.com, click on events, and post your event. That's it.
You're invited to join us for the next hour to learn all about the Youth Services Bureau. YSB has been around 65 years and they're helping youth, and they may be able to help you and your family. I always love having friends in the studio, and today Carlo Lombard joins me now. He's my good friend from YSB. How are you, my friend?
I am fabulous, thank you very much.
Now, this is a new role for you at Youth Services Bureau, so tell me what you're doing.
Tell me what, well, I'm having the time of my life.
Yes.
Let's put it that way first.
Yeah.
I am the events and community specialist with the YSB, and just joined the team a couple months ago. And it's been such a wonderful experience because I have been fortunate enough to know some of the team members, and especially Patty, that you've just interviewed a few moments ago, over the years. And I've done some work with YSB and, help create some awareness with the great work that they're doing. And so I've always had this real respect in not only the service that's being provided, but the people behind the organization, what they stand for, and the impact they're making. And so when the opportunity came around that there was an opportunity to join the organization, I was like, well, this is amazing. I'm going to jump on this opportunity and go in, with everything I got to try and just really embrace what this organization has been about. And it's been so wonderful. It's been such a eye-opening experience, not just for someone that knows the organization, but really wanted to understand the more intricacies and really kind of be on the ground a little bit to see the people behind the organization. Because we already know the impact, we know the brand, but we also want to understand the people behind it. And that, I'm telling you, Sam, is probably the most amazing thing about the organization. And yes, I'm a little biased now, but you saw John here, you saw Tanya here, you saw Patty here. It's this sincere love for not just what they do, but the community that is YSB, that starts obviously with the team and then build into the clients and the youth that we serve, and then beyond, of course, into the community.
It's so funny because when I heard the news, I think I saw on LinkedIn that you would join the team, and I thought, well, now that makes sense. You're so creative, so passionate, so it was a great place for you to land. What's your dreams for this organization? Because you are very creative, you're very collaborative, you're always pulling people in, you've pulled me in to things before. What are you hoping for in terms of your role with this wonderful organization?
Well, I mean, I have, like always, I go in, trying to do as many things as possible, get involved as much as possible. But I really feel, once again, the sincere love and respect for this organization, in the sense where my only goal really in the position that I have and the amazing people that I work with is to try and create more awareness about what YSB does. And though we're fortunate, and I heard in your discussions that the name YSB comes up frequently, and it is an organization that is known in our community, but there's also so many people that do not know what this organization does, who they are, and really coming to a place where we can share the stories behind it, share the experiences behind it, pull partners and collaborators and corporate companies involved that understand that really aligns, as you just said, the youth might be a portion of our population now, but it's 100% of our future. And that is all of us, whether you are whether you have kids or don't have kids, doesn't really matter. The youth is still going to be part of your employment. They are going to be part of your company potentially. They're going to be fellow employees. So I think that's really my goal, personal goal, is really just to embrace what YSB is all about and find innovative ways to continue to share that message, continue to build those partnerships, and really tell those stories.
And I think it's so important when I think about all the opportunities for events are really the face of the organization, but fundraising has so many different levels and really there's something for everybody. So take a few minutes to kind of describe what's on your plate.
Well, once again, yes, we love events in the sense where we get the opportunity to meet people face to face. Obviously, that's something that we all recognize that we all need is to be in person with one another. And it's also wonderful to create those very personable connections. On the other hand, there's other ways where we try and reach out to corporate organizations and say, how can we help you? How can we help facilitate within your organization ways that you can engage with your team, build your corporate social responsibility whilst, potentially supporting some of the work and the services and the people behind YSB as well. So trying to find those ways to really engage with them. Once again, it's not about just raising funds because we want those funds to come from sincere places, and majority, and if not all of our funders and donors, that's why they're there, because they sincerely believe in it, and that's what we continue to build. We want to build those relationships. It is amazing the relationships that we have with our funders, donors, partners, supporters. It really is like a truly unbreakable friendship.
It is. It's wonderful to see, and when we think about all of the different sort of groups in the community that come together. So you spoke about businesses, families want to give back once they've received great service from you, and then youth themselves can actually get involved. How inspiring is that part?
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting that you touch on that because we have a couple of organizations or a couple of initiatives within YSB once again to continue to build that community engagement, because we understand that it's not, we want to make sure that we want those ambassadors out there in the community, people that believe as strong in YSB as we are, apart from the families and once again partners that support us all because of the work that we do. Yes, we have, starting as, in middle of high school now, we have what we call a youth cabinet, which is a wonderful opportunity for youth that is in our community that is, yes, I want to be that ambassador to be there to help someone when they want to have a conversation or they are sharing something with me that I feel, they need maybe a little bit of support or they don't know where to go. The Youth Cabinet is amazing. We have multiple members already through various schools that's engaged in this, and we meet frequently to talk about initiatives, and they create their own fundraising and collaborative events, which we help support to facilitate that. So that is what we built, and then we have another aspect which is called our Young Professionals Network, which is an opportunity for, once again, employees, entrepreneurs, anybody in that stage between, once again, 25 to 35 or 40 that is like, okay, I'm within my organization, I'm a dynamic individual, I want to be out on our community, how do I do that? So we kind of group this amazing dynamic group of individuals together. We once again facilitate meetings and events and opportunities for them to come together and for them to grow their networks and be in the same space with like-minded people, right?
I love that. That's fascinating to me, because it's one thing I think for us to say, oh, we know what kids want, but the reality is the youth know what they want.
Yes.
Yeah, and they can help themselves, and I love that the fact that they're collaborating together. I think that's fantastic. The coldest night of the year. So you do a 2 and a 5K. Now I think the 2K is just for me. Is that right?
Listen, you're not alone. There's a lot of us that prefer the 2K as well.
Yeah.
But the wonderful thing about coldest night of the year is another opportunity for us to bring our community together, and also showcase a part of YSB that we want people to, the opportunity is not only to bring people together, but walk through our community, get to see one of our shelters on this walk as well, and experience and get some information and engage with our team at the shelter to understand how we work, right? Because once again, sometimes you just need to see it. You hear everything, you see everything, but you don't actually get to experience it. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us not just to experience that, how it might feel to be, struggling with housing during the coldest night of the year. That's always a reality of that too. It's a reality of being aware how it feels to be outside or have a youth outside during this really cold time of the year. But then also the reality of this is what it looks like when they are inside and being taken care of by staff like the YSB, and what that environment looks like, and what their support, what their donations, what that actually make happen. So it's a wonderful opportunity to just get engaged, and it's a fun opportunity to get the staff out there, to get them to get some extra steps under their belt, right? And get to walk away with some lovely, there's giveaways, and there's, we get the merchants involved as well, we get the partners involved. It really is just a wonderful experience.
But seeing is believing. I mean, when you're actually there and experiencing that, and I always see so many people rallying behind that event. So if somebody wanted to get involved in this event or wanted to give back to YSB, maybe it's a monthly gift, maybe it's a donation. This time of year, a lot of people are looking to give back. How are we doing that, Carlo?
Well, at the moment, the opportunity is always going to YSB itself, to the website itself, and there's a donate option there to get involved immediately through there. There's the opportunity, of course, to participate in these events that we have, like Coldest Night of the Year. We will have an official launch more towards the end of November, so there will be a lot more information about that online as we actually kind of kickstart off registration and so on and so forth as well. But also then from a corporate sponsor perspective as well, right? Because this is an opportunity for people to kind of get involved, get their company associated once again with something that is really making a difference. And then it's also an opportunity for people to create teams within Coldest Night of the Year as well, to kind of encourage one another. It's like, come on, let's walk together. That's why it's such a wonderful, it's a peer-to-peer opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to take my friends and we're all going to go do this together. And we're all going to go, experience the evening together, have a hot chocolate together, do the walk, see what the YSB is all about, but really physically take what we say into action, right?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time today. And you have found a place that I know that will not only love everything you can bring, but your passion comes through.
Oh, thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you
very much. To all of our guests today, thank you so much for joining us to talk about YSB, Youth Services Bureau. They have lots of different events you can get involved in. And of course, if your family needs help, well, that's why they're there. I'm Sam Laprade. This has been an hour to give. Give back to your community this week. It feels so good.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly. Choose your ride.